What is going on, everyone? Jeremy here from MTG headquarters. And as I complete the final steps of my massive 1,000+ pack on cap opening coming later this week, which I'll also probably live stream portions of it here on YouTube, I wanted to talk a little bit about these price spikes that happen around usually the banned and restricted announcements. So have you ever noticed any time like a new deck gets hot, or more specifically, an unexpected card becomes banned or unbanned whenever the banned and restricted announcement happens? There always seems to be some drama around certain retailers fulfilling or not fulfilling specific orders depending on which direction it goes. Now let me give you an example. So the current retailer over the fire is Troll and Toad, but to be honest, the list is a mile long of sellers that have been put on blast every single time this happens. So let me paint a picture. A card gets unexpectedly banned. Players flock to the stores, this is the retail stores basically, or online I mean, to purchase it at its previous price. And there's a lot of examples of that, but we had a pretty stark example just this past week with Protean Hulk becoming unbanned in EDH. The card was selling for about $3.50 prior to its unbanning, and immediately after it spiked up to about $27. So, you know, why is this relevant? Well, it's basically, or why does this happen? It's a simple supply and demand situation. For months or even years, nobody on the planet wants this card, and it kind of wastes away, hovering around a few bucks, maybe bulk rare prices. Then in an instant, demand and price peak together, given a static supply against a rapid increase in demand. So what am I saying? So prices are generally determined by supply and demand, and you know, the more people that want a card, the scarcer that card is, the higher the price goes. That's why alpha cards are so expensive. Supply is low, collectability is high. When you have a card get unbanned, what happens is you have hundreds of people wanting to buy a card in an instant. And you're basically looking at a very compressed period of time. You always see like the price floating statically, and all of a sudden like shoot straight up, and then it'll start to come down. What happens? The sellers struggle to meet the demand, therefore scarcity increases, and they keep increasing price to try and offset that. And almost as quickly as that happens, what then will happen is people who might be sitting on this particular card are like, holy crap, this is sitting in my bulk box and it's worth 20 bucks right now. So everyone rapidly floods the market and the price will stabilize. But in that short window of time, you always end up with a good bit of controversy. So in this case, we're talking about Protean Hulk, and even I got kind of caught up in it with publicly shaming people not filling their orders. And I think I was wrong in that. I think overall that there's really enough blame to go around here. That's not just with retailers. And let me explain that. When this happens, you have kind of two groups of people. That group of players, let's say in this case, EDH players who all of a sudden want Protean Hulk for their decks. But then you also have an equal, and I suspect larger amount of players who are looking to make a quick buck. I talked about this in my MTG Mystery Cube video, and it wasn't very well received. People don't like, you know, people didn't like that I pointed out I felt like it was unethical. That doesn't make it unethical. I feel a lot of things are right or wrong, and that doesn't make them right or wrong. And in this case, people that just want to buy the card are trying to buy the card because they need the card. But there's also a ton of people flooding the market trying to buy Protean Hulks for $3 or $4 or less, maybe $2, and trying to make a quick buck. Let's be honest here. Magic players are trained to specifically be rewarded by and to seek value. That's why so many people will say you should only buy singles, right? Because sealed product is a ripoff. ripoff. People are obsessed with value in this game. And one thing I forgot to mention in my Mystery Cube video that I think was unfair of me to gloss over is that as a lot of players, the cost of this game is quite high. And so a lot of players need to extract value wherever they can. And I should have accounted for that because that's true. But in these cases, it's my opinion that the influence of MTG finance, and to a far lesser scale, people that actually want the card, and people that want to make a quick buck, are the ones that make the market have such extreme highs and such extreme lows. The problem really comes into play when a few people see an opportunity and try to basically buy out every seller on the market. TCG Player makes it very easy to be the first person to, let's say, buy 1,000 copies of a card. Whatever's available can be absorbed by the market almost instantly. Now, is that wrong? No, I don't think it's wrong. And I think my message in the Mystery Cube video was not clear. I haven't changed my opinion, but I don't think I was clear enough in saying, no, I don't think it's wrong. But it does create an issue. People see things as one-sided, right? A lot of people say things, oh, well, why should I care about weighing mystery cubes because it's just some company trying to screw us over. Yeah, well, you know what? That was a cool product that existed for a little while. I don't think they're trying to screw you over by making a profit. That's my opinion. Now, you know, we can disagree on that, but nobody's forcing anyone to buy a product, so it is what it is. These transactions, when, you know, the transaction of cards that, you know, it's general ebbs and flows of supply and demand, you don't really see these kind of spikes or valleys without outside interference, such as the banned and restricted announcement, especially so when something's unexpected, right? You can usually see the market pre-adjust to things if it thinks something's going to happen. But in this case with Protean Hulk, we didn't see that. We saw a huge spike. So basically you have a bunch of people coming in who all of a sudden want this card because it's unbanned, but you also have a bunch of people that are like, man, I'm going to buy this for $3 and flip it. And then you have super buyers who are buying thousands of copies to make, and then the people that actually want the card have to pay more for the card. That's why if a ban unrestricted announcement ever comes out, my advice to you would be to just leave it be and not get in the fray immediately. Inevitably what happens is either people shame the retailers for backing out on selling the card for $2, or the retailer has a missed opportunity on revenue, and nobody wins, right? I think there's actually blame on both sides. And the purpose of this video is to really try to open up a conversation on how we can maybe better handle these banned and restricted announcements. I mean, should a retailer honor their contracted or their advertised price? Yes, I do think they should. I think most large retailers probably have some sort of terms and conditions in place that say if something out of their control happens, that they don't have to offer that they don't have to honor that price, right? And so something like a ban and restricted announcement coming out and seeing supply, you know, creep up, I would say that's kind of an outside source. That's an outside factor that now has increased the price of the card. It's almost like an artificial scarcity, right? Because people are sitting on these things and they just flood the market with them because they think they can get $30 for them. But the reality is by the time people get off their butts and list these cards, they're getting $5 or $6, which is still better than the $3.50. But now you're still left with maybe 100 or 200 very loud people on the internet who ordered this card for $2 or $3 and then had their order canceled. It's particularly suspect too when then they can see the same retailer listing that card for sale the very next day at this new higher inflated price. Now, I don't agree with that. I think the responsibility should be on the retailer to prepare for these things, right? It's the same reason I don't give sellers a break for overselling on TCG Player. I don't buy that. Banned and restricted announcements are pretty much on schedule, other than Fell at Our Guardian. And they know when they're coming. They know when new sets are going to come out. They know when the Pro Tour is. So as a seller, I think every day, basically, you should be locking your inventory for an hour or two around the ban and restricted announcement so these things don't happen. Now, maybe when you unlock the inventory, all of a sudden, things are just as bad. But I think if I'm a retailer and I'm getting burned by this, like Troll and Toad did, and there's a long list of other people, and I'm not condoning what they did. I think they should honor it legally, and I just think it's the right thing to do. To be honest, nobody was buying Protean Hulks at $3 anyway, so if they have to sell them for $3, okay, right? I mean, that's how I feel about it. But what I'm interested in hearing from the community is, how do we start a conversation around maybe better handling banned and restricted announcements and handling sellers that maybe don't honor the price? Because I think there's a lot of scenarios that can come up. Now, maybe, like I said, vendors should freeze their inventory around banned and restricted. I mean, you can't really have Wizards of the Coast. The other thing I was thinking is, well, could Wizards of the Coast give people a heads up? Well, no, you don't want that, right? Because then they'll just pre-raise prices or dump inventory or hide inventory to minimize the damage. Or maybe this just isn't that big of a deal. Maybe, it happens here and there, and 10 people get screwed, and 5 of them are just trying to make a buck, and the other 5 are genuine customers who just have to wait a week. Because trust me, everyone's sitting on Protean Hulks, for example. There's going to be plenty out there. If all of a sudden they're worth $5 or $8, everyone's going to unload them. Is a card going to be worth $350 again? No. Is it going to be worth $27, $28? No. But I'm curious. I mean, I think what you have is a situation where both sides are trying to take advantage of each other, right? And it's easy to just purely side with the players, but also you have to look at it fairly and say, well, are you really that mad that you couldn't get your Protean Hulk? Or are you that mad that you didn't pay $2 whenever and it's worth 27, right? Like, there's, is it 50-50? Probably not. I think if you're going to list the inventory, you should fill your deal, honor your price. But at the same time, like, both sides are not clean in this. And what I'm curious, what I'd like to hear about in the comment section down below is a little bit about how you think we might be able to better handle this, how to protect yourselves, and maybe some ideas that we can share with vendors to try and make the situation better for buyers when things like this outside of our control happen. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for mega Amonkhet openings coming up later this week. We'll talk to you again real soon.